Even though it's been a while since that fateful night, I still recall like it was yesterday. On a regular Friday night, my friends and I were preparing for a sleepover at my house. Lily, Sarah, Emma, and I, Jenna, made up the group of 4. We were symbiotic, constantly seeking thrills and adventures to liven up our humdrum existences. I eagerly got ready for the sleepover as the sun started to set, casting long shadows across the neighborhood. My house was the ideal place for me to temporarily create a haven of fun and mischief while my parents were away for the weekend. Every minute that passed, the anticipation increased. The girls began to show up at the stroke of 6, each carrying an overnight bag and beaming with anticipation. We gave each other hugs and squeals as we greeted one another, excited to be together for what would undoubtedly be a special evening. My home, which was eerily quiet in the dusk, was where I led them. We gathered in the living room, seated in a circle on the plush carpet. As darkness descended upon us, the self-proclaimed horror connoisseur Emma suggested that we create a spooky atmosphere by telling ghost stories. I couldn't help but shiver with excitement as Sarah and Lily exchanged anxious looks. I felt an electric thrill at the thought of reading terrifying stories in the comfort of my own home. Emma got things going first, spinning an eerie tale about a wretched ghost that prowled an old, abandoned house in the nearby woods. Our skin crawled with anticipation as the words were filled with vivid descriptions and eerie sound effects. As she neared the conclusion, the house began to creak, perhaps in response to the terrifying story. We looked nervously at each other as we tried to explain it away as coincidence after being startled. But there was a lingering sense of uncertainty, as if someone or something were watching our every move. We laughed it off, putting it down to the old house settling in the cool night air, determined not to let fear get the better of us. We played games and laughed as the night went on, trying to get rid of that unease that was still present in our hearts. The atmosphere, however, became more oppressive as the hours passed. We felt as though our valiant efforts were being mocked by the sinister shapes cast by dancing shadows on the walls. At that point, Emma, who was always willing to take a chance, made a dare that made us all tremble. She suggested that we investigate the basement, a location infamous for its eerie atmosphere and whispered stories of paranormal activity. My heart raced at the mere thought of it, but curiosity overcame fear, and we reluctantly agreed. The air became heavier and more fragrant with dampness and decay as we descended the dimly lit staircase. My arms were covered in goosebumps, and I could feel a strange dread gnawing at my insides. For better or worse, this was not just another sleepover. It was going to be a night we would never forget. We entered the dimly lit basement with trepidation written all over our faces and our hearts racing. Only the distant hum of the furnace and the faint sound of dripping water could be heard in the otherwise eerie silence of the room. As the air grew chillier, it warned us to turn around by sending a chill down our spines. Along the walls, shadows danced, bending and twisting as if they were living things. The one bulb's weak light flickered, casting elongated figures that appeared to reach out to us and threaten to snatch us away into the darkness. With our breathing shallow, we huddled close to each other as we struggled to find the courage to delve further into this eerie location. With her flashlight piercing the night, Emma, ever the risk taker, showed the way. The beam exposed forgotten artifacts from a long ago era, hanging cobwebs like gossamer threads. Only our own footsteps, which echoed menacingly, could be heard as we cautiously walked deeper into the silence. The weight of fear pressed against our very souls as our hearts pounded in our chests. Each step seemed to lead us further from the security of the world above, pulling us deeper into a world where the distinction between reality and nightmare was hazy. We were stopped in our tracks when a low, guttural growl suddenly broke the silence. The thought of the unthinkable made our blood run cold. Fear had taken the form of a physical entity that hid in the shadows and awaited its unwitting prey. A dilapidated, rusted cage could be seen in the room's corner as Emma's flashlight flickered and shot erratically directed beams of light. The air was filled with an offensive aroma of decay and despondency. Every breath we took was invaded by it as it tore at our senses. Then, a hunched, twisted figure with vacant eyes that glistened with an otherworldly malice emerged from the shadows. It was a hideous parody of humanity that advanced at an abnormally fast rate towards us. We were overcome by panic as the oppressive silence absorbed our screams of terror. We turned and fled in a panic of adrenaline-fueled desperation, the sound of our pounding footsteps reverberating throughout the basement's maze-like corridors, the desire to flee the clutches of whatever possessed that abandoned place as fear drove us forward, erasing all rational thought as we hurried towards the stairs. With our bodies trembling from a combination of exhaustion and utter terror, we burst through the basement door while gasping for air. We huddled together and sought solace in each other's trembling embrace as the moonlight provided a brief respite, casting a soft glow upon us. We were forever changed by what happened that night. The distinction between naive childhood and the grim realities of life had become permanently hazy. We had caught a glimpse of the shadowy world that envelops us and frightens us awake, as well as in our dreams. Even now, I can still make out the faint echoes of that growl and feeling the weight of the shadows hanging over my head. The memory of the sleepover serves as a terrifying reminder that the horrors we frequently seek out in literature can occasionally find their way into our lives, leaving an irreparable mark on our souls. I was a shy high schooler, lost in the labyrinth of adolescent insecurities. I had no idea that the upcoming events would drastically alter my life. I hastily stuffed my belongings into my old backpack as the school day came to an end, with the final bell ringing through the hallways. The usual commotion of students eager to leave the confines of our educational prison filled the corridors. However, something was off that day. There was a palpable sense of unease that pervaded the entire structure. I could hear rumblings of an unsettling rumor as I made my way through the sea of restless bodies. Jenny Parker, a classmate, had vanished mysteriously. The vivid imaginations of teenagers looking for excitement fueled the raging speculation. Some whispered of an entrapment, while others spoke of an illicit romance gone wrong. Our collective consciousness was entangled in theories like webs. The abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town was the only location where secrets were whispered in hushed tones. But curiosity got the better of me, and I made the decision to visit it. It was said to be a haven for disobedient teenagers, a place where rules were abandoned and the allure of danger permeated the atmosphere. I understood that I had to face my fear because inside those crumbling walls lay the answers. I approached the deteriorating entrance with caution as dusk fell, casting long shadows across the dilapidated structure. I forced open the door, revealing a dark, desolate interior as the rusty hinges grumbled in protest. My flashlight danced through the pitch-black void as my heart pounded against my chest like a wild stallion. The air was filled with a revolting odor that made my throat boil and flame. Broken glass, empty beer bottles, and traces of vandalized graffiti were all visible in the flashlight's beam. However, as I made my way further through the maze of passageways, I noticed a flickering light that reminded me of a lighthouse guiding the wayward. As I followed the faint glow, my heart beat faster with each step as my curiosity overcame my impending doom. I froze as soon as I turned a corner. There, sprawled on the chilly concrete floor, was a sight that would keep me awake at night for years to come. A dead body, with its features twisted into a frightening expression. Fearing that the murderer might still be nearby, I choked back a guttural scream as it clawed its way up my throat. I reached for my phone while shaking, trembling my fingers as I dialed the emergency number. The seedy side of our small town had been revealed when I happened upon a gruesome crime scene. I couldn't escape the knowledge that evil had among us as the distant sirens wailed, getting closer with each passing second. The rumors had become a nightmare, and I now saw Jenny Parker as a victim who had her life cut short too soon. The fact that I had unintentionally stumbled upon a high school murder would forever weigh heavily on my soul. The police arrived quickly, exuding an air of authority. The abandoned warehouse's barren walls took on an unsettling glow from the flashing lights, emphasizing the grisly scene in front of us. Officers in blue uniforms surrounded the area with a cordon, their faces a mixture of worry and stern determination. I was led away from the crime scene while my shaking legs labored to support me. I was overcome with guilt, as if my own curiosity had brought me down this perilous path. My mind was filled with questions like a whirlwind. Who could commit such an act? Was it someone we knew? How had we failed to recognize the evil that was hiding in our own neighborhood? Days turned into weeks as a murder's burden continued to hang over our high school like a shroud. The once loud laughter of adolescence was now muffled by an unspoken fear in the hallways. Every glance, every conversation, and every interaction were clouded by suspicion, as if the murderer might be anyone hiding in plain sight. With the lives of defenseless students on the line, it seemed like a cruel game of hide and seek. Police put together pieces of a frightening puzzle as their investigation progressed. There were rumors and whispers of a covert organization that preyed on the defenseless. Loyalty was said to be rewarded with violence and betrayal in this perverse game of power and manipulation. I couldn't help but wonder if Jenny Parker had stumbled upon this web of evil, falling victim to the nefarious schemes without realizing it. I found myself in the target zone as the town's unease evolved into an insatiable thirst for explanations. Friendships broke down as suspicion contaminated even the closest ties. I started to wonder about everyone and everything around me as fear became a constant companion, eating away at my sanity. The investigation reached a dead end after several months. The shadows clung to our town and would not give up their secrets. However, a glimmer of hope appeared even in the depths of despair. A brave few joined forces to solve the mystery that had torn our community apart, propelled by a common resolve. Our hearts beat in time as we put the puzzle pieces together during late-night meetings held in the dimly lit basements of abandoned buildings. Alibis were scrutinized, secrets were dug up, and clues were meticulously examined. Regardless of the cost, we were adamant about finding the truth. The shadows started to fade as a result of our tenacious pursuit, revealing the truth so shocking that it shocked everyone in our town. It turned out that a trusted authority figure from our community who had betrayed our trust was a murderer, not someone we had ever suspected. We presented the police with the evidence after gathering it, and they were shocked to hear what we had discovered. The veneer of normalcy crumbled, revealing the dark underbelly that had pervaded our high school. Even though the murder was found and justice was done, the wounds were never completely healed.